My account, the check clear?
Oh, clutch check.
Clutch check? Oh, it clear? Got it. Okay.
LeBron James owns the NBA media the same way your toxic ex owns your soul. You may talk smack about her to your friends and chalk it up as a win, but you're too innocent and clueless to know that by talking about her at all, she has won and you have done her bidding. It's the exact same case with LeBron James. LeBron James knows the media can't function without talking about him 24/7, but he can't function without them talking about him 24/7 either. And so he has multiple media members who push the narrative that LeBron James is the GOAT. And whether you agree or not, he is winning because he is in our minds all day, every day, whether we like it or not. That's the definition of media priming, and LeBron James is the master of that. But in the case of one Gilbert Arenas, LeBron's most blatant agenda pusher, this is quickly backfiring. The truth is, it's great for the sport to have debates and discussions about who we feel is the greatest ever. It's only good for the game. But when you have a guy who is so obviously biased, clueless, and legitimately makes up fake narratives to trumpet Bron's GOAT case, it actually makes LeBron look unintentionally much worse. We're going to take a look at two of Gilbert's worst takes following LeBron's crash out on NBA media to show that this guy, despite being an obvious LeBron guy in industry plant, is actually hurting LeBron's legacy as well as the NBA as a whole.
Face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis shit on everybody. That responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy.
After this scathing call out by LeBron James, most of NBA media was pretty pissed off and trying to defend themselves by any means necessary.
An all-star weekend that LeBron James elected to show up for and not participate in. Don't get me started with his 22 years in the league and how he ruined the slam dunk contest because he's the star. He's the first superstar that played above the rim that decided not to participate in the slam dunk contest.
A little over the top. But, however, there was one media member who had a blank face. One Gilbert Arenas, or Agent Zero Clue, as I like to affectionately refer to him as. And of course, he proceeded to defend LeBron James by saying this.
Was he wrong? When you think about the Magic, the Jordan, the Hakeem, the Drexler, the Shaquille O'Neal, you pushed their greatness. You didn't talk about the negative parts of their game to tell them why they're not number one.
Come on, man. This is plain absurd even from a critically stupid moron like Gilbert Arenas. It's all positive when we talk about Shaq, Jordan, Kobe, Hakeem. Dude, we say Shaq isn't number one all the time because of his work ethic. We say Kobe isn't number one because he was the closest thing to MJ but didn't win or accomplish as much. And we say Kareem isn't number one because as good as a player that he was, Kareem didn't care to lead and would have retired in 1979 or 1980 if it hadn't been for Magic Johnson. The funniest part about all this is Gilbert Arenas himself was a major recipient of the negative media when he was coming up because nobody thought he'd amount to anything. He's actually the biggest underdog, but he now hates supporting other underdogs and is creating this narrative that the media was so much better back then.
Worst MVP winner. He is the worst MVP winner in the last 40 years.
What?
Yeah, right, Gilbert. What do you have to say about that? Nikola Jokic is one of the greatest players we've seen, and you've done nothing to pump his tires. All you've done is talk about how he's lacking in this and that. And this is the exact problem and why LeBron James needs a better media puppet than Gilbert Arenas if he's going to continue to push his candidacy for being the NBA GOAT. Gilbert Arenas is absolutely making up narratives which aren't true and paint LeBron James and this newer generation as victims. If you're LeBron James, you need to step back and realize that's the last thing you want. And it actually detracts from his diatribe to the media where he says,
But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously I didn't ask for it, but I knew it was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I travel all over the world. So I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about.
The responsibility of being the face of the league is so horrendous, but LeBron James, is the only one not too big for it. So in the one hand, LeBron is saying that he's built different in a good way, but then your biggest supporter / media plant is saying you're kind of built different in a bad way by painting some ridiculous narrative of unfair hype. And as if to emphasize this and double down on his stupidity, on his own show, Gil decides to stick his foot in his mouth even further and reveals where he actually rates LeBron James.
If you say, where does LeBron fall in your top 10, no matter where they fucking put him, he will be the only person that you talk negative about.
I know you're talking, but all I hear is blah, 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 blah. A few moments later.
It makes sense. It actually makes sense if you didn't have him in your top. Yeah, it'd be horrible if you had him third and then you just put him fourth because of Steph Curry.
Dude, have you ever met a guy who legitimately speaks as if it's Groundhog's Day as much as Gilbert Arenas? He says LeBron is the GOAT all the time, but now says LeBron is number 3 all time? LOL. Dude, this is too good. Where has the number 3 come from now? LeBron's camp gets upset when he gets called number 2, and he has his media fans who agree that he's the GOAT and push that narrative all the time, like Shannon Sharp. But it's one thing to be a fan and another to be a mercilessly blatant plant like Gilbert Arenas, who so obviously doesn't believe what he says because he just shoots his mouth off. Pun definitely intended. Whenever and wherever he feels like. Now he's entertaining LeBron being number 3 and he's saying LeBron Raymond James doesn't get enough praise? Bro, somebody call Kyrie Irving to slap this dude straight. Actually, myself and Stephen A. Smith are the biggest LeBron James fans in the world because we are truthful and factual in our assessment. He is the second greatest player to ever play NBA basketball, and that is absolutely not an insult. It is a compliment of the highest order. End of story. These narratives are absolutely boring trash. Let's change it and have media members have educated opinions that aren't based in emotion or agenda pushing. And also, as great of a media manipulator that LeBron James is, he needs to also realize that if they go too far over the top, it'll actually only hurt his legacy rather than enhance it, which is what he's actually trying to do.